Well, we had the weather turn to the cold, so I can't go out on the grader. So I'm down cutting wood. I'm going to make my dinner. And I get a lot of people request that I do another cooking video. Well, this should be a cooking video. But I tell you, cooking ain't pretty. Okay, one thing, I'm making my tea right now. And a nice way to transport both sugar and salt is let it lump. You know, when you get a good block of it, then just bang off what you need. Doesn't get scattered around that way. But I'm gonna peel some potatoes, so I will leave this be while I get the water boiling. I think I better add a little more to it. But I'll be back after I get the sponge peeled. Okay, what I'm using here in this size kettle, and it's not real big, I'm going to use 3 potatoes, dicing to about 1/2-inch cubes, you know, something pretty random. Get them too big, they take too long to cook. But it's not fussy amount-wise on this. And I don't know, somebody's probably got a name for this. We always called it, you know, dumpling soup is what we called it. Something we grew up eating all the time because it's a pretty cheap meal. But you can't beat it for in cold weather. It'll make you sweat. You know, I watch so many little videos where people are cooking and they're making up these thin little noodle soups and things and ramen noodles, and there ain't enough nourishment in there to keep you going to do any amount of work, and then it's just subsistence kind of food. This you can work on. There's nothing better if you got like a cold. Okay, after them potatoes, I'm going to go about 1/2 an onion. That might need to be a little stiff for this because I'm used to working in a lot bigger amounts than what this is. But, like I say, the amounts aren't too fussy. And there again, you just dice her up. And now that'll boil until the potatoes start to get tender. Well, there's one more ingredient, but I'm going to let this boil a little first. And while it's boiling, put in a little salt there again, and like I said, keep your salt in a lump. And now we leave her boil for a bit. Okay, now comes one of the main ingredients. For this size kettle, again, you know, it's smaller than I normally use, using 3 strips of bacon, cutting them up. And I use fairly lean. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have the fat, you need that fat, but if it's really fatty bacon, I'll cut off the fat and just use the lean parts. And again, not too fussy. But sometimes if I cut the fat off, I will fry the fat out, you know, render it into bacon grease separately, because there's a use for that later on. But like I said, this is pretty lean, so this will go in as she is. And we continue to boil. Okay, well that is boiling. Small amount of lard. See, this is where the bacon grease would come in normally. And a bit of flour. Not more than a bit. A little bit of salt. A little bit of baking powder. This is one of them things where if you don't know how to make what you're making is a stiff biscuit dough, but if you don't know how to make a stiff biscuit dough, the Bisquick will do it. Just make it fairly stiff, or you will regret it. A little fancy here, but I add in a little bit of powdered milk because I have a log. Mix that in with my kettle. In the meantime, I will mix my dry ingredients. Like I said, what you're trying to do is a stiff biscuit dough. And I have bread along, otherwise I would normally make up extra of the biscuit dough to make regular biscuit dough, pull out most of it for biscuits, then add a little flour and make it a little stiffer for the dumplings, because that's what this is for the dumplings. But the worst thing you can do is get her too loose, you know, you want her fairly stiff. Too stiff. But, you know, like I say, ingredients, not so fussy anymore. But I'll mix this up and then this is going to sit for a little bit. Well, that stuff boils until the potatoes are tender. And I will continue mixing without you. And she's still simmering, because I got the dough mixed up. But now I'm going to add a very important ingredient, which is pepper. And this is where you can make it or break it. You know, for this much, I would say this much pepper. What it is, I don't know. If you put too much pepper in, she will be inedible. If you don't put enough in, it won't do the job it needs to do, which is warm you up. Because if you get it right, like I say, you break out in a sweat. And if you got a stuffy head, it will clear it out. Believe me. But we got more boiling to do. The potatoes are getting there. They're getting close. So at this point, I will put my dumplings in. But that's where the stiff biscuit dough comes in. And you just tear off small portions of it. And dump them in. And now, what will happen, you know, they'll sort of bake, but they're being boiled, sort of. But also some of the outer surface, you know, the flour kind of gets into the soup and kind of thickens it up. You don't want to make them too big. You know, I like to be able to get them on a spoon, but And they will expand, you know, because that baking powder, once they get in the hot water, when they start cooking, they'll almost double in size. But it's just a matter of experimenting to find the right combination. But I can do this pretty easily now. I've done this many times. But I say it's a hell of a good winter meal when it's cheap to make. And I'm going to have a whole full kettle of it. But now I'm going to wait till let the potatoes finish cooking. And these dumplings do their expanding and their cooking. So it'll take a little more simmering. Keep getting there. And you can't manhandle them dumplings too much, you know, they still cooking, or they'll crumble on you. Give it a little while. Okay, the potatoes are pretty well tender. I'm just waiting for the dumplings to kind of puff them up just a little bit. You don't want them too mushy. So you got to kind of vulcanize. But I cut up some bread and buttered it, because the one thing that you need with this is plain buttered bread. Because with those onions and that pepper in there, like I say, she's got a little bite. So you want something to kind of neutralize her once in a while. But I think she's about ready to go, so I'll pull her off, put my water for coffee. Yeah, there she is. I'll let my ground settled out of the coffee and have my dinner. I got 2 good bowls of her, and that'll be enough to keep me going for the rest of the day. So there's your cooking video. Yeah, finish my coffee and go back to work. But that was using my old army stove, 1945. Excellent device if you ever run across one. The Metzger, I think, was Austrian, though I do carry the US one too, because they got a nice frying pan and a nice plate. And it was actually my dad's when he was in the Navy. And my Swiss Army canteen, because then I got the good cup with her. But back to work. I ate every damn drop of that.